Since Palworld released last Friday, it has had over 200,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch, and that number is only growing. That's gotta make it one of the biggest gaming phenomenons since Pokemon Go. And since you're probably playing this game, I wanted to make a guide on the types of pals you should be focusing on in the early game to help make your base as efficient as possible. If you like this video or find it helpful in any way, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new around here, please subscribe for more content. So after you catch a pal, you'll be able to view its details and you'll notice that it has 4 different types of skills. The work suitability skills are how the pals can help you at your base. There are 12 work suitability skills. They are kindling, which has to deal with fire, watering, planting, generating electricity, handiwork, gathering, lumbering, mining, medicine production, cooling, transporting, and farming. Whenever you build a station in the game, there is a little node above it that will tell you what skill is required for that particular station. And the goal is to fill the stations with pals that can do the correct jobs with the limited amount of slots you have in your base. As you level up, you can get an extra pal in your base per level. But in the early game, you don't get that luxury. So I'm going to tell you what you should be looking for to make your base function tip-top shape, even whenever you don't have 13 pals yet. For your first pal slot, you're going to want to have the handiwork ability because you're not really going to have anything else in your base to farm. The best early handiwork pals, in my opinion, are Liftmonk and Pengullet. Pengullet you'll see first. It does watering, handiwork, cooling, and transporting, which is awesome. You'll need all 4 of those things, and water and transporting are going to come into play sooner than you think. So Pengullet is probably the first one I would target at the beginning, but if you venture off a little far and find a Liftmonk, then you could totally run that one because it also has logging, medicine, gathering, and planting. So whether you get Liftmonk or Pengullet, either one of these 2 pals are going to be an awesome first one to start your base with. The first major structure you're going to be building at your base is the ranch, and that's going to be the first real AFK farm unless you're just building pal spheres or something like that. So what you're going to want to do with the ranch is find a pal with the farming skill, and there are a few different types. Land ball is going to be the first one you run into, and that's going to AFK farm wool for you, so every time you return to base you can run through the ranch and it'll pick up the wool. This is going to be good because you're going to need to craft cotton early so you can craft some armor. You can find Mao in pretty much any dungeon. He's good to keep at the ranch because he farms gold. So anything that you don't currently have, such as leather that you might need, you can just buy with gold at the small settlement. Mozzarina and Vixie are also really good. Mozzarina, the cow, drops milk, obviously. You're going to need milk whenever you start cooking things. You're actually going to want to get a Vixie as soon as possible as well, because pal spheres are going to be one of the bigger bottlenecks in the early game as you try to build up your team and your base. Next big AFK farms you're going to build are the logging site and the stone pit. Those are going to require the logging and the mining abilities. For the early game logging, I would recommend Tanzee. It not only does logging, but it has gathering, transporting, handiwork, and planting. But the logging rank is only level 1. So if you want to focus specifically on more logs, the purple deer at the beginning, I don't know how to say its name, Eichler deer, that has a logging level 2, but that is only going to be logging. For logging and the stone pit, having one dedicated pal to those stations is not a bad thing. It's okay if like the deer doesn't have other options because you don't have to manually set those and they are always going to be on an infinite farm. The best early game mining pals are probably Tombat, which has level 2 mining, level 2 transporting, and level 2 gathering. This is a nighttime spawn. It's a little rare, but you can find them in the early levels. And the alternative I would use in the early game is Fuddler. Fuddler, like Mao, can be found in basically any dungeon. It is the little mole looking thing, and it is good at mining. Honorable mention is Depresso. He spawns in the early levels. After you get your logging site and stone pit, the next big things you're going to need to focus on are watering and kindling skills. Watering will take care of things like watering the seeds that the planting pals have planted, and running the mills to make flour, or the grinder to make things such as Paldium ore. The kindling skill is used to cook, and to smelt ore, as well as light torches and stuff throughout your base. And in the early game, for watering, you're just going to want to stick with Pengullet. You could get a second one if you want to, but Pengullet is super valuable at the base early game. Like I said, he's already got that handiwork and that transporting skill, so the watering is icing on the cake for him. And for kindling, the Fox Sparks is probably the most accessible one, but if you want to go a little deeper into the world and find an Arsox, he is actually really good because he has kindling level 2 as well as logging. So if the kindling job is complete while you're away, you can just go ahead and start farming some wood, helping out your deer or something like that. The final skill you're going to want to focus on before you start to get industrial with the power generator is the planting skill. If you followed everything in the guide so far, you should be all set up and good to go. So once you add a planter, you'll already have a waterer and a gatherer to help put the food in the food basket for you, and you don't have to add any additional pals. The best planters that I have found are Floppy and Bristla. They are a little bit past the first area, but they're really good because they also have the medicinal skill, so they can make medicine for you to help take care of your pals that get any ailments. Until you find a Floppy or a Bristla, Tanzee should already be in your base, and he is a planter himself, so that is no problem there. You are actually just good to go if you have one of those. And there you have it. That may not seem like a lot of pals, but that was the point of this video. I wanted to give you a concise list of pals that you could focus on in the early game that you can just leave at your base, so you can go out on your adventure and find all the cool ones to keep on your teams. The next big thing is going to be the power generator whenever you get there. But the only other skill that you need for that is the electricity skill, and that is pretty self-explanatory. I would recommend Spark It because he is easy to get in the early game. Spark It is not a bad one to keep around, but I'm sure there's going to be a late game mon that is better at conducting electricity, because I honestly haven't gotten to the power generator myself yet. I am streaming the progress every single night over at twitch.tv/precision. So if you want to hop in and join the fun, let me know where you're at, feel free. But I hope this list does a good job in accomplishing its goal, which was to help take your base from nothing to electricity as efficiently as possible without wasting a lot of different resources to maintain mons that aren't that helpful. Go ahead and smack that like button if this video helped you, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to G Fuel for sponsoring this channel. You can use code PRECISION at any time to save 30% off your entire order. Right now, I am loving the Evil Emperor tub, the Frieza-based Dragon Ball Z collab. It's a cranberry, cherry, raspberry, and strawberry medley that is amazing. And like I said, you can get 30% off your own tub with code PRECISION today. Let me know down in the comments how you're enjoying your Palworld adventure so far. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.